All right, well, I'm going to take a risk because I think, frankly, time is short. I think you're right about Elon. I don't know for sure that you are, but I think you're right about what he's trying to do and how he ended up there and how it would surprise him. I had a meeting with him. I flew to San Francisco and I had a meeting with him, and he said it had been a very good meeting and he wanted to meet again. A series of events unfolded over the course of the next 24 hours.
It's interesting because that's why I talk about Elon as much as I do on the show, because I think if you would have said to Elon 10 years ago, you'd own Twitter, you'd be in this free speech fight, you'd have, the ADL calling you an anti-Semite, like the list of craziness that everyone now knows, I think he'd say, what are you talking about? That's completely insane. I'm trying to get us to Mars. I'm building this cool car, blah, blah, blah. But he, I think, is sort of the avatar for what you're talking about there, the brave person that doesn't know exactly what they're going towards, something like that. But then he's like, I better buy this freaking Twitter thing because I see all the danger. Much like a professor that's like, oh, I'm going to be hunted off campus because I'm going to not bow and the rest of it.
All right, well, I'm going to take a risk because I think, frankly, time is short. I think you're right about Elon. I don't know for sure that you are, but I think you're right about what he's trying to do and how he ended up there and how it would surprise him. I had a meeting with him. I flew to San Francisco and I had a meeting with him, and he said it had been a very good meeting and he wanted to meet again. A series of events unfolded over the course of the next 24 hours. My Twitter account got commandeered. Maybe that was organic, maybe it wasn't. I don't think, I know Elon had nothing to do with it. But anyway, I reached out to him and tried to alert him to this because I was concerned that he and I had private communications and he didn't want, I don't think there was anything compromising in them, but he didn't want them in the world and he needed to know that this was there. And he ended up blocking me after having this meeting, and I remain blocked. Now, the reason I raise it is because there's a defect in all of those players that I mentioned who have all been shoved onto the same team, right? They have some incredible strengths, and I have to tell you, there's been a lot of pain inflicted on us for standing up, but the camaraderie, the discovery of people who were up to the challenge, their coming together as a coalition has been extremely rewarding and dwarfs any suffering that might have come along with this.
Yeah, it sounds kind of corny, but I mean, those 3 days or whatever it was we had at ARC, to see everybody together again and all be like, we're still alive, we're still here.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
The problem is that all of those people who have the characteristics that I listed, that are courageous, that are insightful, and that have integrity, they have a lot of lone wolfness in them, which means that they have a defect. They're terrible at confederating. And my concern is, I'm watching Elon. Now, maybe Elon isn't what he appears to be, but to my way of thinking, he probably is. I think he's got a desire to save the planet. It happens to be a moment at which saving the planet is not a ridiculous thing to be focused on.
Right, and he happens to be kind of the guy that can do it.
If anybody's got fuck you money, he does, and that's exactly what you would want. And he also, is very insightful. I see him as very strategically clever, but I don't think he's any good at confederating either. And my little story where, he blocked me, it's like, look, hey, Elon, there aren't that many people out here trying to advance the ball who have something meaningful to contribute to the team. We have to stop tripping over each other. So
maybe I feel like I'm missing a tiny piece of the story, which is what do you think he blocked you over? Not to totally sidestep us here, but I also can get access to him probably. So it's
let's put it this way. What happened was, so I believe that Darkhorse, that Heather and I have faced a whole bunch of suppression that has not yet shown up anywhere. The Twitter files
That's
doesn't.
the podcast that you guys do. Yeah.
Right, that's our podcast. And there's a reason that we still, we are demonetized to this day. YouTube demonetized us. I believe they were going to throw us off. Joe Rogan held an emergency podcast, and YouTube hasn't messed with us since, but they didn't remonetize us, and got rid of more than half our income in one fell swoop. Anyway, the point is, there's been a lot, and we know actually that decision happened in the C-suite at Google.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever's going on, there was a lot of direct interference with us. Why? Because a lot of what happened over COVID went through Darkhorse. And the reason, was Heather and I are both PhD biologists who, what we were doing before, frankly, May 23rd of 2017, shortly thereafter I showed up on your podcast, the first major venue I was on. What we were doing before that date was we were taking complex phenomena and making them simple and intuitive so students could learn and use these ideas. When we started to do that with COVID, when we started to take it out of the realm of here's a bunch of stuff you can't understand and leave it to the virologists and the epidemiologists and the public health authorities, and the answer was no, actually you can understand it, and some of what you're being told isn't right? When we started to do that, and then we started to interact with people like Robert Malone and Peter McCullough, Pierre Corey, and then those people went on to affect a huge audience, largely on Joe Rogan's program. That changed the narrative. And so I think something has meddled with us in a unique way, because frankly there weren't that many people who could bridge the scientific to public.
Sure, but connect that to Elon blocking you, because on one hand I think you're saying he's the good guy in this story, so I think there's one missing piece here.
Here's the connection.
Yeah.
When I contacted Elon after my account was commandeered, I was trying to point him to things about my account that does not behave normally. And incidentally, in the conversation that I had with him...
I was unfollowed from you right before that. Remember, I contacted you and texted you and said, hey, Bret, you were one of the first 4 people I ever followed on there.
So that's interesting. Yeah. It could mean something. Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it means. But I was trying to convey something to him, which is, I think when as you know, because you talked to Elon about the things he was discovering inside of the crime scene that he bought.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he discovered was that there were lots of mechanisms that caused things to be deboosted that weren't labeled as such. And so he kept finding more and more levels. And I was trying to convey to him, look, I think you will find something special when you figure out what happened to us. Now, maybe that's wrong, but I wasn't talking to him privately about this for personal, selfish reasons, though I would love the problem to have been solved for those reasons. Of course. I was telling him that because I believed that in his quest to make Twitter into the new public square in which, that he would discover those things at the point he chased this down. So he then blocked me saying, stop spamming me, which was a very strange thing for him to say in light of the conversation that he and I had had.
A lot there. I'd be happy to talk to him about that.
Well, maybe
we can send him this clip, or I'll message him. But
let's put it this way. Let's say that I've got it all wrong.
But is your fear? It's not that you were spamming him, like blowing up his feed. What you're really saying, in essence, is that you were a little too ahead of something in the game at which the speed is played, that he may not want to be involved in that just yet. Something like that.
Well, that's possible. If I take everything at face value, okay, I was trying to tell him something about the machine that he bought, and I'm taking him at his word as to why he bought it, what he wanted to accomplish. I was trying to help him in that, and it involved things that I can see in my account. And, he told me that, one of the things that was true before he bought Twitter, he had the most engaged with account, and that he could feel that the way the account worked was unnatural. So I'm reporting something that he had experienced personally in his own life. It is possible that he took my messages to him as my thinking that he was like customer service or something, and that frustrated him, which I would get. But my point is really this. No matter what happened there, the idea that people who are interested in, who are aware, for example, of the importance of even a single social media platform functioning in a free and open way with respect to ideas, right? On Darkhorse, we have the phrase, 0 is a special number. What that means is, if you can turn a single social media platform, a single newspaper, or a single university so that it functions towards its stated goal, you actually stand a chance of fixing the system, because if there's one social media platform on which you're treated like an adult and you can exchange ideas freely and discuss them back and forth, nobody's going to want to be on the ones in which you're treated like a child.
Right. So in essence, that's why he's hated the way he is at the moment, or why the system reacts to it. That's separate than whatever may or may not have happened with you guys.
It's why he's in the bullseye. But I guess the point is, if we are talking about the fact that what he is doing stands to change the whole system for deep game theoretic reasons that, as far as I know, we're the only people talking about, then it doesn't make sense for us to be tripping over each other, right? Even if I misread the signals that were going on in my discussion with him, then the answer is, okay, so you said, hey, stop spamming me, message received. It didn't need to become this was the block actually before Elon even started talking about the fact that blocks were no good.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop screaming, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.